So I've struggled with addiction for the past couple of years. This specific drug is relentless, and it feels like no matter what I do out here at school, it's always right in front of me. I'm not talking about weed, I'm not talking about alcohol, I'm not talking about cocaine. I'm talking about the drug that nobody talks about, and that's dopamine. I'm sorry to start this video off by making it sound like I'm a drug addict. So if you were looking for some video about some underground party drug, I'm sorry to disappoint you, this is not the video for that. However, if you're here to learn about why dopamine can be so harmful and how to manage it, then I invite you to stay and watch the rest of this video. Here's the reality. We have evolved to abuse the convenience of dopamine and instant gratification. Let me illustrate the problem for you really quickly. If someone wants to replicate the feeling of fun while they're bored, they can just hop on any short form content social media platform. If someone wants to replicate the feeling that you get from being with a woman and being intimate, you can easily just search it up on the internet. If someone wants to replicate the process of making progress and improving in your own life, they can just choose their favorite video game and rank up. It's really sad how easy it is to feel rewarded in today's society. And truthfully, most people and most college students want more for themselves than what they currently have. That's awesome, but unless you manage your addiction with dopamine, you will never get to where you want to be. You'll never become the person you aspire to be. That's why today we're going to cover the biggest culprits of cheap dopamine and how we're going to effectively manage them. Before we begin, you really have to understand what dopamine is. Dopamine is a chemical in the brain that acts like a reward signal. It gives us a pleasurable feeling when we do something enjoyable or accomplish something. So in essence, dopamine is supposed to be a good chemical. It's responsible for feeling rewarded in the things that we do in life. Think about it. Without dopamine, we'd feel no satisfaction from anything. Eating your favorite meal, hanging out with your friends, or achieving a goal wouldn't feel any different from sitting in a blank room. Dopamine is why we care about what we do. It's what makes life interesting, giving us that sense of fulfillment and reward. The trick is to use it wisely so it motivates us to do the things that actually enrich our lives instead of quick, meaningless hits. The first culprit of cheap dopamine is social media and video content. College students on average spend anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day on their smartphone. Now tell me, do you think we spend all this time on our phone for no reason? Absolutely not. Social media and video content fulfill underlying human needs that we might be missing. To fill a boredom void, watch content. To fill a validation void, post a picture. This is why social media and content consumption are so fucking addicting. Because it's so easy to extract the feelings that you crave out of it. And the worst part about all of this is that your addiction is being fed without your knowledge. When you scroll through TikTok and Instagram, there is a bottomless pit of content that is tailored to you and what you like. Why would you want to stop scrolling when the next video is new and entertaining? For this reason, your dopamine levels stay elevated, further feeding into this addiction. What worked for me was to go cold turkey on social media on my phone. So I said bye to Instagram and I said bye to TikTok. Because what I realized about myself is that I would mindlessly open the apps and then I would mindlessly scroll for no rhyme or reason. All it would take was a slight impulse or a notification and I was in. And once I was in, it was a journey in itself to remove myself from the app. So get rid of it. If you really want to get on Instagram, go out of your way and get on your laptop. I wish I could truthfully say that limiting the app use or even hiding it on your phone will help, but it really won't. Get rid of it. The second culprit of cheap dopamine is corn. For YouTube restriction purposes, we're going to call it corn. This is essentially the most concentrated form of dopamine.
It's just pure glass.
The amount of dopamine and stimulation that goes on when you partake in this activity is not normal. Our brains were never meant to process or handle the amount of stimulation that you get from these videos. I'm pretty sure a caveman would have a seizure from overstimulation if he watched a full episode of Family Therapy. So when you set your threshold so high for what you need dopamine wise, this is the beginning of a really bad addiction. How are you going to expect to lock in on something so hard and time consuming when your tolerance for dopamine is so demanding? Seriously, this is a genuine question for you. Can you really focus and study for a long period of time when what you're used to is quick dopamine just a click away? Do you see where the problem is here? Do you see how difficult you make it on yourself when you're so used to instant gratification? So manage your dopamine. Understand how harmful it can be when used the wrong way. The third culprit of cheap dopamine is video games. For most of human history, we were used to working hard and waiting for the payoff. Those who came before us learned skills, built things from scratch, and were patient. But not today though. Video games have completely rewired this way of thinking. That sense of accomplishment that we crave is felt instantaneously. When I was in 7th grade, I was addicted to Rainbow Six Siege.
Stairs, plant.
There was nothing I wanted more than to improve as a player and reach a certain rank. So there were nights where I would stay up till 3, 4, 5 a.m. grinding to try and hit plat. And I loved the grind. I loved the progress, and it was really rewarding. And listen, I was 13 years old, so the consequences are not that deep for that. But I'm not 13 anymore, and neither are so many people who continue to indulge in the grind. If you're in college or a grown-ass adult, you have no business trying to level up in a game if you're not doing it in your own life. However, I'll argue that if you have your shit together, go ahead and play games. But the truth is that those who play games are desensitized to the reality of making progress, and they most likely won't make any progress. So my advice to you is to lay back on the games and learn what it takes to make real progress in real life. Go to the gym, learn a skill, read books. Just learn to love hard work and love the real process. So those are my 3 culprits of cheap dopamine, but I want to reason with you now. One of these culprits taking a hold on your life isn't great, but it's not horrible. It's when you finish this video, reflect on your own life, and realize that you're indulging in all 3, that you have to start thinking about making a change. So please do yourself a huge favor right now. Limit the control of dopamine in your life some way or somehow. Maybe this means it's time to delete your favorite game, or it's time to delete Instagram or at least add a limit to it. Maybe put a picture of your mom on your laptop when you're starting to feel impulsive. I don't care what you do, but kill your complete reliance on cheap pleasures. And an easier way to do that is to become a more habitual person. Build habits that eliminate or reduce the likelihood of indulging in cheap dopamine. I have a perfect video to help with that right here if you wanted to check that out. Take the value from this video, apply it to your life. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.